Good morning, hi, hello, how are you? I hope you're having a wonderful day. If you are new here, my name is Maddie and I am a science fiction fantasy author working on my debut urban fantasy novel. And if you are not new here, then thank you so much for coming back. It means the world to me. I know that I haven't posted in about a month and a half, and I have about like 7 different videos in various stages of filming to editing, and I just have not been entirely happy with any of them, and I could have just posted them, but this is my channel and I kind of realized like no one is forcing me to post. This is my space where I'm supposed to be, like this is a way to just kind of add to different creative uh, ways to express creativity or explore that and writing craft and stuff like that. So I don't have to post it if I'm not happy with it, and that's kind of where I've been at, just kind of in this limbo of just feeling like I don't know what I'm doing. But I'm excited for today's video. I feel good about what I'm filming, so I think we're just like already in a much better place than we have been with these past few videos that will maybe someday see the light of day, but right now they're just kind of hanging out in a digital graveyard. Anyways, on top of not filming, I've also been in the worst reading slump that I've been in like all year. And it's been so hard to find a book that just like draws me in to the story and the characters, and I just want to sit down and read a book where I'm just so immersed in the story world that I'm not thinking about real world at all. I just want to be like in love with what I'm reading. And that has not happened since I finished The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. I loved that book, and I think the book Hangover was just exacerbated because the movie is coming out so soon, so it's just, everything with that story is still out, and I'm seeing it on TikTok, I see it on Instagram, whatever. Every time I'm going on social media, I'm just like pulled back into the Hunger Games world, which is so not a bad thing. I feel like when I was 12 and the first one came out, and I was so excited and I loved the books so much, and the movies came out, so it is like a fun feeling. But I think that's just why that book Hangover hit me so hard, because yeah, it's just like everything is happening with it. And I do have my tickets. I'm so excited to see the movie. I'm going to see it this Thursday, and it's so exciting. Anyways, nothing I've picked up since then has hit as hard as that book, and I've just kind of been DNFing everything. And I also, while I want to find something that gets me out of this reading slump, I kind of want to go on like a mini rant, because I'm so tired of picking up books that have good premises or whatever, and they're just not good books at all. And it's so frustrating because I know that there are good books out there, and I'm tired of having to sift through so much like lazy writing to get to it. Anyways, that's what we're going to be talking about today. So if this is up your alley, or you are just like in a hater mood and you want to be down for like a little mini rant, let's just dive into it. Books I've hated recently, and I'll be honest, I do actually like to be a hater, but I try not to be, because I know that people do work hard on what they do, and putting it out there is hard and difficult. Like, I totally get that. But at the same time, when you put stuff out into the world, you are opening up the discussion for critique. And all of these different books that I'm going to talk about, if they are your favorite book or you love them, then that's great. That's why there are so many different people and there's so many different books out there, because what works for me maybe won't work for you, and what works for you maybe won't work for me. So that's, like, this is just my opinion, and that's fine. And right, I'm gonna stop saying and. We got that out of the way. Book number 1 was a buddy read with my friend. He found this book on Kindle Unlimited. And it did seem like a really good premise. It was really interesting, where it was a Little Mermaid retelling, but the relationship between Ariel and Prince Eric is not all it's cracked up to be. So she actually ends up like meeting this pirate man, and then there's like more chemistry between them. That's a kind of an interesting premise, right? Because we all have that like Disney romance idea where it's like, oh, you fall in love and everything's happily ever after. So it's kind of like, well, the happily ever after isn't happily ever after. So I liked that, and it was interesting. This book was so poorly written. There was no chemistry between the characters, and I think the plot devices that the author used were so lazy. And I am going to share the title and stuff because why not? This book is A Ship of Bones and Teeth by Corinna Haley. I'm not sure how you say her last name. I think I got like 45-50% of the way through, and then I just couldn't do it anymore. It sucks. This book is so lazy and relies solely on tropes, even for the characters. Like, the characters are not people, they're just like a checklist of tropes or different like popular buzzwords in the reading community to get people to read this. I also hate the fact that Hale used, I don't even know if I can say this on YouTube because everyone like self-censors, so I guess I'll do the same, DV to break up Ariel and Prince Eric, which Ariel's name is like Mariel, I think, on here. Marin.
I don't remember. See, that's how bad it is.
It is
like,
Marin.
If it was a good character, I would have remembered.
Literally, I'm just gonna call her Mariel Schmariel because it doesn't matter. She is a siren, not a mermaid, and she like abandons her shark friend, which I thought was so heartless, to become a human. That really did bother me. But yeah, apparently Prince Eric. Oh, and then her tongue just magically grows back. There's so many problems. Like, oh, I barely remember anything about the plot because it was basically non-existent, and there's so many frustrating little details. Like, this should have been a ex-mermaid, siren, and a pirate captain. That like just feels like so easy to build chemistry because they both obviously love the water, so there's like already common ground. You can go from there. But Mariel cut out her tongue to grow legs, but then her tongue grows back, and then when it does, Prince Eric realizes he doesn't want an ex-fish who can talk back to him, so he starts beating her. And I think that's so lazy. Like, I'm not saying that never happens in real life, but to use violence as a way to break up the couple just makes it, I think it's just kind of cheap, because it makes it so easy to root for the other love interest who we know she's going to end up with anyways. Like, we already know that, so why not make that initial breaking up a little bit more interesting and have a little bit more nuance, because this is just so reductive of reducing Eric to this one-dimensional character, because no one likes people who do that. So it just made it very, I just think it's so lazy, especially when it's like women are continually writing these situations that lack, like, people are actually going through this. So I think if you want to include a heavy topic like that, you need to approach it with like a little bit of sensitivity and respect to survivors of these situations. And when you're using it just to be like, look how bad this guy is, and that's why she should be with this pirate guy who also kind of hurts her, but it's like for her own good, so it's okay, which I also hate. But yeah, I just think it's so lazy. It's not what I want to read about, and yeah, I hate that. Also, the pirate guy was so boring. Mariel was so boring, and they had no chemistry. And you're telling me this is supposed to be like a Little Mermaid retelling, it's a romance, they should have some sort of chemistry. And I'm just tired of reading things like, or watching things where I'm getting through it and I'm like, wait, should these people be together, or does the writer just really want me to want them to be together? And I feel like if I have to ask myself that question, I know the answer, and it's just not fun. And I couldn't dive into the story because I'm just reading words, if that makes sense. So yeah, that book sucked. Chopping block. We stopped reading it because I just don't care. I also learned that Corinna Haley has written like something like 70 books over 10 years, and me and my friend, we did the math, and that's like a book every 2.5 months. So I don't think there is much care here beyond finding a list of popular tropes, whipping out a book that's just kind of like taped together with hopes and dreams and buzzwords, and then putting it out into the world for people to read, which is fine. I guess she's getting her bag, but it's not what I want to read. The other book that I tried to read because I desperately wanted to like it, and I kind of think that maybe I'm just not a like fluffy, happy reader because I hated this book, and this was another DNF, was Red, White, and Royal Blue by Casey McQuiston. I did tab some lines in here that were so bad or that I just hated it. This book, I think if you are like a true millennial, as in you're well into your 30s, this book is for you, and that is not a dig, even though it sounds like it, so I'm probably gonna delete that line. But this book is just painfully millennial. It is so cringy the whole time, and I get the point of escapist happy literature. I do. I just don't think I'm the reader. I can't get over the fact that like the Democrats are these like magical, amazing good guys when they're just like Republicans with rainbow stickers in real life. Like it's just it just takes away all the nuance of American politics, and also Texas swings blue in this book. And also I'm gonna say that Alex is the main protagonist, and Harry or Henry, whatever, is the not. He's a secondary character, the antagonist. He is half Mexican. But this was just clearly written by a white woman, and I'm not saying you have to only write your gender, your race, whatever, because I'm certainly not the person to tell you that. But it just is so stereotypical in the ways she brings up Alex's race or how he exists in the culture, I would say. Like, I live in Colorado, and she's from the South, so I think there's probably a difference of like the majority of demographics of people that live in these areas, and I just have never talked to anyone that talks like Alex or like does the things he does. So it feels very no nuance, no whatever, and the thing that brings Alex and Henry together, I just couldn't get over it. It was too corny and cringy for me. They like knock over a cake at the royal wedding, and then it's like this international disaster. I'm like, I don't think any American cares about the British that much. Like, I feel like all we do is make fun of them. So I feel like we would be like if I learned that the first son pushed a prince into a cake, that would make me feel patriotic for the first time in my life. Like, I would think that's hilarious, and I would not be upset. And then they have to pretend to be friends, but then they realize that maybe they like each other as more than friends. And then it just is so because at one point, I forget her name, Nora, or maybe it's like people are writing fan fiction about you guys as if it's like this cute funny thing, but that to me is so cringy. Like, this whole book is so cringy, and yeah, I tabbed some lines, but I don't even want to read them because they suck. I will read, okay, here's some of the dialogue. This page, Oh my god. Okay, yeah. So they're trying to get alone time so they can kiss, and that's all like well and fine, but just listen to this. Hi, he says. Nora smiles. Henry's mouth drops open. Sorry to interrupt. Important, international relations stuff. And he seizes Henry by the elbow and yanks him bodily away. Do you mind? Henry has the nerve to say. Shut your face, Alex says, briskly leading him away from the tables where people are too busy mingling and listening to the music to notice Alex frog marching an heir to the throne out of the dining room. They reach the doors and Amy is there. She hesitates, hand on the knob. You're not going to kill him, are you? She says. Probably not, Alex tells her. She opens the door just enough to let them through, and Alex hauls Henry into the red room with him. What on God's earth are you doing? Henry demands. I can't do it. British accent. Shut up. Shut all the way up. Oh my God, Alex hisses, as if he weren't already hell-bent on destroying Henry's infuriating idiot face with his mouth right now. He would consider doing it with his fist. And I know I read that like silly, but that's how I read it in my head when I was like reading this for the first time. It's just, these are not how political figureheads would talk, and they're also like in their early to mid 20s. I don't know. I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. I can't do it. The final one, I bought this a while ago, like when it came out, but I hadn't read it. And this is kind of what broke the camel's back, so to speak, because I don't think I can finish it. This is Jennifer L. Armentrout's newest romantasy, Fall of Ruin and Wrath. I hate this. Prose, Miss JLA is not good at writing prose, or she needs more editors, or she needs editors that are a bit harder on her than they are, because Miss Girly, I don't think, has written a single page without at least one ellipses on it, and I'm on page 35, and already I like a good ellipsis, but not this much. Like, I just think things like that, things that aren't regular punctuation, need to be special, and ellipses should be used for special moments, and they are used in like every other paragraph. I'm also so tired of adding Y and replacing like a regular vowel with Y to make it like a fantasy name. Like, I don't even know if they're races necessarily, but there's different types of people. I guess they are races. And one of them are called the Highborn, but it's spelled HYHBORN or something. I don't know, something stupid. And I'm just so tired of it. Like, it is just so lazy. And I don't even know the main character's name, to be honest, because that's how much personality she has. And I'm on page 35, and I just know exactly how this is going to play out. I thought this was a standalone. Apparently, it's going to be the first in a series. I have no desire to read it anymore or read further in the series. And this is not my first JLA book, and now I'm like, I feel like I can never reread the other books I've read by her because I feel like I'm gonna hate them, and I rated her other work very highly on Goodreads, so I think I just have to let that live in my memory. It's also November. Iron Flame released, and I honestly have no desire to read it. I read Fourth Wing. Again, that was a book I rated very highly, but I just have no desire to read a continual back and forth between Violet and Xaden and whatever flimsy world building Rebecca Yarros has made for 4 more books. Like, I got what I needed to. I know exactly how it's going to end. They're going to have issues, and it's probably still not going to be fully resolved because you got 3 more books to get through. I just have no desire to read it. And again, I just feel like I'm at a point reading wise where I just can't continually read things that aren't drawing me in, because I think that does hurt my own writing craft. Like, I don't want to write like that. I want it to have substance and nuance, and I want it to be the best that I can. I want my work to be the best that I can make it be. So I think just kind of reading these things, like, it's just not worth it anymore. And again, if they are like your favorite book and that's how you want to write, then I'm happy for you. Everybody's art is different, and like I said, there's so many people on this earth, so you have your readers. I am just not the readers for these authors. So I have like 50 books on my TBR cart, and some of them I have tried to read, and I'm like, I'm just not in the mood for this right now. So, but I also went to the library today to pick up some books, and I tried not to like look at them beyond the synopsis or like the little blurb on the back, because I do want to give everything a fair shot. And like I said, I just want to fall in love with a book again after having these books that I don't love. One of these books I have seen a bit on social media, and that is The Sun and the Void. I know that this is inspired by folklore and history from South America, so I'm not very like familiar with that, with those stories. So I'm just really excited to read this. I have seen, I think, a lot of promo for this book, but I haven't really seen anybody talk about their thoughts, which I think is good, because I don't want to be, have expectations going into this, because I think that also sometimes hurts, is if you have such high expectations for a book and it doesn't live up to them, even if it's not necessarily a bad book, but it's not what you thought it was going to be. So anyways, I'm going into this one pretty blind, but I love the cover, and it just is like a nice solid book. So yeah, these other ones are smaller, so I'm going to start with these ones, but I am excited to see how this book does. I also picked up An Ordinary Violence. This is by Adriana Chartrand. It's pretty small, so I figured can't go wrong. I like the cover. It is interesting, and I like the blurb too. This is more of a thriller, maybe? It's more of like a creepy thriller fiction book, which I haven't read in a while, so I'm very excited to kind of get out of the fantasy genre just for like a book or two. And it's pretty small, so I think I can knock this out pretty quickly, and I can tell pretty quickly if it's not going to be my thing. The other book is The Court of Shadows. This is translated. I don't know from what language, maybe French, because it's about Louis the 14th. But this is like an alternate like fantasy historical fiction, because Louis the 14th he becomes the world's first vampire, and he's been ruling from Versailles, or he's been ruling France from Versailles for the last 3 centuries, and this follows Jean, I don't know, I feel like it probably sounds better in French, Freudelec. She wants to kill the king. So that also sounded interesting. I've not read many vampire books lately, so I'm excited for this one too. Yeah, so we're just gonna have like a little reading vlog until I find something that I like. And yes, I think I ranted enough for today. I'm back. It's a new day. I realized I never filmed an outro. I just kind of like had my mini rant, picked up a book, and went on with my life. I ended up finishing An Ordinary Violence. I enjoyed it, but the plot was a really slow burn, and unfortunately it just never really picked up, so I think I rated that one 3 stars. And then I tried to read A Court of Shadows. There was so much info dumping in those first 10 pages, I couldn't even get past those first 10 pages, so not a book for me. I still have The Sun in the Void, but I haven't started it yet because I picked up A Study in Drowning by Ava Reed. I follow her on Instagram and I've been really wanting to get this book, but they haven't had it at Target, so I have to drive out of town to the nearest Barnes & Noble. But yeah, so I've started reading this one. I'm really enjoying it. I do feel like I'm out of my little reading slump and feel better about life. Anyways, that's all I had for this video this week. Thank you for tuning in. I know it's been a while, but I'm so appreciative, and I'm going to get started on next video, which is all about TCF and how close we are to the end of the year already. So thank you so much for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe if you enjoyed this video or not. Thank you just so much for being here. I really truly appreciate it, and I will see you in the next one.